This video is a continuation from the previous. Okay, so the next thing I did was on the left, I just sort of created these planes, my different planes that I knew I was going to be working with. And I sort of just did this rough layout, right? I've got it. It's not perfectly to scale, but it's approximately to scale. So I've got the footprint 24 by 24 by 60 high, and I've got the 5 different planes and the ceiling plane. And so on the next drawing over here, you can see I've got my volume for my cat toy tower, and it's a 1:1 to 2.5 ratio that it's going to fit in. So I just started doing some sketches, just little quick ideas of things that might work. And once I got some ideas, I did some more sketching. Here's a example of, and you can see how this is now starting to fit. This is something that could be buildable. This is something that could work because it fits within that volume that it's part of my massing diagram. And so it's just some rough idea, the big cat head, the collar, and then this part of the tower has openings that they can go in, and there's a ramp around it. And then something here at the base, I didn't quite figure out what that was going to be because it was part of the bottom. So maybe it's just an open structure that holds the whole thing up and is a solid base. And then I went even further, an actual cat made from cat toys. So I just took parts and pieces, and now this is really very Dadaist. And if I were to go back into this and color all these different colors, that would add that real pop art look to it. So the thing with this, though, is this is starting to get kind of out there. And while you may have clients that absolutely love this kind of thing, actually I like this best because I feel like it's the best part of the design so far. It is there's a lot to it. So everything else that you would want to do from here would need to be supportive. This would be your focal element. This would be the strongest piece, and all the other pieces would need to be subservient to it, or submissive to it, however you want to use the term. They would need to support it. Because if you had nothing but that, it would start to look like one of those gardens of, and they're not bad. I like them. I just don't know that's what I would want. And you might have a client that does, but you know those gardens that they have all the art that's made from upcycled is now the term, right? Upcycled art, where it's made from parts and pieces that people threw away, and they bring it together and they paint it and they can sell it for hundreds of dollars because it's cool, and other people don't think, hey, I could do this with my trash. So this to me is starting to lean in that direction, and I like it, but your client may be too much for your client. So when I talk about, and I have talked about, having multiple options, you can begin to see that if you and the client had decided this was the right direction you wanted to go in, you would have multiple iterations, right? You would have something very simple, something moderate, and then something out there. And present them all three and say, you know, these are the different ways we could go with this. We could do something that's really, really simple, or we could do something, because I could just get rid of the cat head and just sort of just make it this nebulous blob like my original drawings, wherever those went. I think I've closed all that. To make it just more of a nebulous blob that sort of has this biologic feel to it, but isn't quite a cat. I'm starting to see Dr. Seuss a little bit over here. And I didn't mean to. That wasn't intentional. It just sort of happens. So here's some ideas, and then you just kind of start to develop, put them together, and go from there. I'm going to complete this. I know I told you guys not to do this, but I'm a modeler, and I have been at this for a very long time. So I can very quickly throw together a model. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to model this so that you can see where the end result ends up. You're not far off here from the end result. The next thing would just be to make this more, make it cleaner, make it neater, make it presentation quality. And then, you know, that's the end of the schematic design phase. And that is where you want to be for most of your assignments, is at the end of that schematic phase. Because we're really focusing on the design. The design development phase would be when you turn it into construction documents. I have you guys doing a little bit of that where you're doing it by hand. But you won't really do it more until you get into 1200 next semester. So this is the process. I'm not going to say it's your process exactly. You're going to figure out that your process is a little different. But this is the basic overall process. These are the steps. These are the things we want to achieve. We want to work through using the function and also keeping design in mind at the same time. So these aren't strictly based on function, though function does drive them. So it's sort of a back and forth. I think, okay, well, maybe I want to do this, or maybe I need to change this about my function to fit my form. And there are people who say don't do that. But I'm going to say I've done it my whole career. Nobody ever had a problem with it. Nobody ever knew I did it. It's just part of the give and take process. You also will get off your script, possibly. Some people don't. Some people come up with a hard, solid idea and they never deviate from it. And that's okay. I always deviate because I find things as I'm going that I hadn't considered originally that cause me to have to make changes and shifts and kind of think about where I go from there. Now, again, this is not anything we're showing the client. This is just stuff I put together very quickly to get the thoughts out of my head and on paper. I will show you next. Now, again, y'all are going to do everything by hand. I'm going to model it just because I'm a modeler and I have been doing it for so many years now that I want to show you what a final finished product can look like. But yours will be just done by hand. So, and I think it's important to show how you go through those processes and show you that model. And this will be a end of phase schematic design development level model. It will not be a constructible model. That would require some additional dimensions and planning and things like that. So I'm going to stop this video here. In the next video, I will show you the end result, the end product of where I'm heading with this, just for comparison. Your end results are going to be different because you're going to be doing yours by hand.